The reason why up in like Chicago, when I think it was the Wirtz family, they own the Blackhawks, and they never televised home games when I was a kid.
Fuckers.
Because they wanted people to go to the stadium instead. And, that's just that caused, like, I was not a hockey fan because of that. It's pretty simple.
I wouldn't be either. Blackouts suck.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I know some teams. I know the Blackhawks and the Red Wings. That's a massive rivalry in the NHL.
It's a very big rivalry, almost as big as the Avalanche and Red Wings were. That fucking rivalry was insane.
There used to be like some bar question, like can you name? There's only 4 professional teams across the board. It could be hockey, baseball, basketball, football. There's only 4 professional teams, and this was 20 years ago, so there could be an additional 1 or 2 that doesn't end in a S. And I know one off the bat.
I can do that. I can do that. Yeah.
What do you got?
Colorado Avalanche are 1.
It's 1.
Let's see. Okay, so I just did the 1. Let's see if I can do this.
Jazz.
Wait a second. You're not gonna let me do it. I see. Okay. So Jazz, you got yours.
I'll help the rest.
Let's see. Pelicans or Hornets now.
While he's waiting,
we're doing basketball.
Welcome to the pre-show
Kings
Rants of Izzo show here on Spreely TV. Hope everyone had a great friggin' weekend. Short week this week because it is Independence Day week. All right, keep going.
I'm just going through my head, going through all of them. So
Matthew
just bear with
Spear
me.
from the Dumb Show sitting in with us today. It's Monday. Guys, make sure you go to Spreely.com and support the show in all of its glory by starting your own social media account on Spreely Social. It's there. It's awesome. Free speech. We love it.
Seattle Kraken's number 3.
When did they become a team?
Last year, but 2 years ago, actually.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Just Seattle Kraken. I'll keep going. Just go.
Guys, you can go over to therantsofizzo.com and donate to the show. Remember, we are a fully supported by listener and viewer program. You can do that to the Dumb Show as well, too. I want your money. Fuck Matt. He doesn't need it. He's a millionaire. He doesn't need it. Buy my book, Before the Badge. Everything you need to know before you become a cop. Before the Badge, everything you need to know before you become a cop. Available at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and WordsMatterPublishing.com. When you go to Spreely.com, you can check out things like the social media page, like I said, the videos, Spreely videos, and more shows like The Dumb Show, The Don't Unfriend Me Show, The Burn Pit Podcast, Shannon Joy, Report and Opine, Evening Rants, and there's some more coming to the network that we're very excited to talk about. Over in the chat, it's good to see everybody. Sarah, Bev, April, Sean. We're all praying for Amy Stancom's dad. Carrie Bailey, what's going on? Kelly Wilson. I don't think I missed anybody. All right, Matt, let's have a show.
Chicago White Sox and Red Sox, Boston. I'm not done. That's just baseball. I'll move on.
Prepare yourself.
The opinions of the host and guests on this show are exclusively just that, opinions. That means that they shouldn't be the cause of your state of being offended. Why does everybody get so butthurt?
Okay, let's go. Ready, go!
Sit down, shut up, and pay attention.
Damn!
This is the Rants of Izzo Show with your host, Dominic Izzo, from porn to politics. We touch every third rail we can find. You might want to put your headphones on so your mom can't hear this. It's been called the most entertaining 60 minutes on the internet, and it starts now. Let's do this.
Are you as petty as I am, where like people will pop up in your internet or your Instagram feed and you look and you're like, oh, I wonder if they still follow me, and then the second you find out they don't, you just immediately unfollow them?
Yeah, I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram. I can't grow on that thing. Like I've tried, it's impossible. They just will not let me grow.
They've got
Tampa Bay Lightning, Minnesota Wild. NFL has no teams. Everyone ends in S, and then that's it. We're done. So I think I got 8.
If you were playing the home game, we were trying to discuss which professional sports teams do not end with an S. Did you include the Jazz in on that?
Yeah, I included that because you mentioned the
That
Jazz,
was my
even though you
contribution.
asked me to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jazz.
appreciate that.
Yeah, and then you had the Thunder. Yeah, so you had the Thunder from in the NBA too. I just came up with that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
yes. Yeah.
yeah, then the Pelican, but they still have a team.
I thought it was the Pelicans.
I think it's the Pelican. I think it's non-plural, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't even know if they still have a team.
Oh, they were a hockey team, yeah?
No. Well, no, that was the San Diego Gulls. Pelican was the New Orleans area.
But what were they? Football?
I'm a sports guy, but not basketball, not too much.
Okay. It's July 1st. I don't know if you know. Summer kicks in what? When the fuck this up? June or July? I don't even remember.
Well, when my kids are out of school, that's when that's
right.
my eyes.
It is end of Pride Month, and did you
you don't have to be gay anymore.
Did you get your celebratory nuts off all over the place?
Listen, I'm only gay on days that end with Y, so there wasn't much of a difference for me.
We had just for our update in Chicago numbers here, we had 34 shot and 8 killed over the weekend, and there was a massive brawl down in Chicago. I'm not even gonna get into what color it was, black. That just resulted in a bunch of arrests because, of course, in Chicago, if it's Pride Month and it's over, the streets just smell like semen and butthole juice and gunshots. Which of the three, I am neither, none opposed to any of it. Do I love like the kinkiest sex out there? Of course I do. If you've ever listened to this show, you know the disgusting degenerate pervert I am. And guns, I'm Second Amendment, dude. I own many guns. I just don't need it celebrated nonstop and singled out, and that's just my thing. I'm not Matt Spear, who's got a hot wife who showcases her off all over the place and brags about it.
A lot of guns too. Miami Heat also is the other NBA team, and Pelicans. It was Pelicans. I'm just going through the noodle. It's plural, so it's the Heat. We can do this all day. I think we're done now. Except we want to go to MLS, but who fucking cares about soccer? Seriously.
Oh yeah, no, they're a professional sport. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they got the Dynamo, but I'm not going to sit here and go through MLS.
Yeah, we had the Chicago Sting was the team when I was growing up. I don't even think they're a thing anymore.
Right now, it's like the Chicago dead African American youth that the Democrats don't want to do anything about team.
Well done. All right,
Thanks.
We did not. We took last week off because I had wrestling practice and I killed myself. It was ridiculous. You and I did not discuss, or on my show, or I didn't discuss with anybody, the debates from last week. Do you want to give a recap of what you think is going to happen? Because the projection now, of course, is that's it. And even I played a little bit of this game. I personally think that while I watched everyone on Twitter it was either like the Harry Sissons and the Emperor has no clothes, and oh my God, Biden kicked his ass, and it's like, you can't be serious.
He's such a douche. I hate that little fucker.
It's in situations like that I think it's actually doing somebody a favor, beating them up. And I'm not like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not trying to be.
I used to kick guys like that's ass in high school.
You have to be like, dude, I'm doing this as a favor for you because what you are saying is completely wrong. It's irresponsible.
Right.
You're just, you're just, I'm trying to save you from yourself.
Right.
And people like that honestly shouldn't have free speech, even though I'm a free speech absolutist. But then you had all the people out there like Streisand, who, God, I hate how much I hate her lately. And she was like one of the biggest parts of my life growing up.
Yeah.
And they're all pissed about the lack of moderation and fact checking, and what the dynamic of how fair CNN was when they did the debate is they just let both candidates talk, and they want to hang themselves. But I think that, and I want to know what you think. I think CNN's like, dude, you know that the people are going to do shit, so we're not going to pick a side, and we're not going to do this. Or did you think their handlers said, no, listen, we need Joe to just hang himself so that we could do some damage later? Do you think there's any validity to replacing him, or can they?
No, I don't. No, zero. In fact, I just did a video on this, and I wish I literally just finished it and just put it up, and it's only like 7 minutes.
Where can they find that? Where can they find that video?
Over at thedumbshow.com. And you can also find it on Spreely. It's everywhere. Spreely. You can find it on Wimkin, Facebook, whatever. YouTube, Rumble.
I'm going to share your Instagram so it'll grow. I'm going to share your Instagram video so it'll grow. Did you put up on Instagram?
Everything's at the Dumb Show, which is, I had the presence of mind to ensure that all my tags were the same. Here's what I'll say.
We got
I got a lot of shit for saying Jake Tapper was going to be extremely fair. And people were like, dude, you're CNN, you're a liberal, you're a rhino. Yeah, it's the typical shit. Call me a Nazi too, please. And Jake Tapper in 2020 kind of had an epiphany when it came to watching Como and watching Maddow and all these others push the vax. Is Tapper and the bailouts and fucking the PIP or the PPP loans and all this crap. Tapper wasn't a big fan of this. He was not at all. The pay subsidy for companies and businesses to get their employees paid and put them back on normal salary, the PPP loans. He wasn't a fan of any of these things. So he challenged Pelosi. He challenged Schumer. He challenged most of the Democrat, shills in Washington on his channel. So although Jake Tapper is certainly not a Donald Trump fan, he's really not a big fan of the Democrats either. And he was fair. And I think this honestly, as bad as this hurt Biden, it helped Trump more because Trump didn't get to interrupt and he didn't get to bully people. So it was more of like everyone was like, if Biden just doesn't go out there and die, he's going to win. And I'm like, that's not true. All he has to do is somehow make Trump look magnanimous. And this is a huge fucking loss for Biden. And that's exactly what he did.
God,
that's what he did.
I was very pleased because for the first time, Trump wasn't a fucking bully. And I'm like, dude, just shut up.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. And what he did was
killed it.
Yeah, he let Joe Biden kill himself.
That's right.
He
sure did.
And there was some, like, the little slights where it's like, I don't even understand what he said just there, and I don't think he did either. I think that was necessary to say because it's like, no, dude, this guy is really unhinged. And, of course, you got my son, Beau Biden, wasn't a sucker. I don't care about your dead son. I don't.
Yeah.
Fuck Beau Biden.
How many fucking times do we have to hear this?
Dig him up and fucking fuck him and throw him right back in the coffin that he's in. I don't care. Were you, because you had the opportunity to hear so clearly, were you, no, that's a lie, Trump, that's a lie. Were you critiquing him at all, or were you just like sucked in as I was?
No, we scored Biden? It. Like we had Amy, Leroy, Olivia, and I, we all scored it, and we would hold up our phones blue, red. If we felt that the candidate answered at least 75% of it accurately, we give him a point. I think Biden had like a -96, and we were really trying. Like we were seriously fucking trying to give Biden points. That guy, they're like, Trump lied 200 times. I'm like, no, you disagreed with Trump 200 times. Biden was just bold-faced lying. From Belarus being a part of NATO, what the fuck is he talking about? I mean, there were things in that was just so disillusioned. But are they going to replace him? No. And the quick answer is this, the 30-second answer: money, power, votes, right? That's what it's always about. When you look at money, they have almost $500 million in the coffers, almost $500 million at the DNC. That money has to go to Biden because Biden has the primary votes. So the primaries are done for the Democrats. So all those votes for the primary voters, when they go to the DNC, they will vote for Joe Biden. It says that they have to do in good conscience. And the good conscience says that Joe Biden owns those primary voters because they represent the constituents. So this is a huge thing. If they drop him in midstream, you're going to have to hold non-contested primaries again. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to bring in, and it's not Kamala that gets it. People think that Kamala Harris just takes over the presidency. She doesn't. That's not the way the Constitution reads.
And that's the whole thing right now. Don't forget, you are dealing with stupid. I keep telling you, have to dumb yourself down. It's amazing how the title of your show is The Dumb Show, but you refuse to even coexist with your own show. It's so dumb. You're talking about very, very, very stupid people who live in America, right? And there's the informed like you, there's the uninformed like most of America, then there's people like me who are uninformed, but we want to be informed. So we do a little bit open-mindedness of that. So that's why I have you on, so you educate us.
Roger.
The problem is you have talking head media, social media people who how powerful they are, interjecting all their shit, this and that. Joe Biden should step down. Yeah, what you just said, well, what they'd have to do is they have to have uncontested primaries. You know that they could do whatever they want, and they've shown they could do whatever they want. Doesn't matter if it's arresting somebody on a crime that the statute of limitations is expired. Makes no difference.
Correct.
So what's to say that the media doesn't get the mob all riled up? And now you've got a hydra that branches off into several different ways. Let's get the whole country insane. Then we got to talk about Kamala. Oh, you're stepping over a black woman. Then it's Gavin Newsom. And to be honest, I do not know if Trump could beat Gavin Newsom. I don't know if he can or not. I really don't.
Oh, he would fucking destroy Gavin Newsom.
Really? Do you think that?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I think
let's go into this. Let's go into this. Here's the thing. Quickly, Kamala Harris will not become president. She'll become interim. Then it has to be decided by the Senate, and the Senate will overall move candidates forward. That could be Pete Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders, that could be Klobuchar, that could be Whitmer, that could be, Kamala Harris obviously be in that. But you would see a field of 20 or 30, and then they would whittle this down, and you would have to essentially have those candidates rerun the primary. There's not enough time for that. So if he's the only way they lose those candidate votes if he steps down. Now that's a step down and a replacement are two different things. They would have to use the 25th Amendment. They would have to put in a new candidate. And that is a completely fucked process. And it's never happened before. To replace him on the primary ballot hasn't happened since 2000. That is a completely different conversation. Now, has the DNC cheated before? Sure. They did it to Bernie Sanders 2 years in a row and completely bent him over the table. Buttigieg and Sanders were leading in 2020, and Biden wasn't even on the map. So if you're going to sit here and say they could do that, that was during the primary. The primary's over. So they would have to do something like literally circumvent the entire democratic process that they supposedly care about. And they're not going to do that.
Well, you forgot a third option.
Okay, tell me this. Well, yes, that is possible.
He's
but
81 years old. He just doesn't wake up one morning.
Yeah, and listen, there's the old, bubbles in the bloodstream, or he has a stroke or something like that.
The CIA has a heart attack gun.
That was my point.
Yeah.
Or he gets hit with a direct energy weapon from space, or the Jewish lasers. All these things are possible, but I don't have the time. I don't have the time to deal in what ifs.
Well,
so
no, but
I'm just telling you.
What happens if that happens? That's a very. I'm not talking about killing him. I'm talking about he's an aged old man. No.
Yeah.
Oh, so does the 25th Amendment apply to natural death causes?
Yes.
Okay.
Here's what would happen. The Speaker of the House would take over the vice president role. Kamala Harris would become president of the United States.
Okay. Now, so this happens August, right? And then all of a sudden we've got an election coming up in November. What happens? Or this happens closer to voting. This happens in the end of September. Now what happens?
Yeah. The same thing would happen, is that you would have a position where Kamala Harris would become the incumbent, and that would be the process. Now, everyone would be like, oh, well, they would hold the election. No, they wouldn't. That's why you have a vice president. The problem is that if that were to happen, where Joe Biden passes away, or becomes incapacitated, Kamala Harris becomes president, then you have the Speaker of the House, which would be Mike Johnson, come and fill as a VP on an interim basis until they select a new VP, which would probably be Hakeem Jeffries or something.
His party rank.
Nobody's going to vote for that. Nobody's going to vote for that.
Stranger, shittier things have been happening lately.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But dude, here's what I will say quickly. Joe Biden will be on the ticket, they hope. He's going to get amazing down ticket support, and one of two things are going to happen. One is that they're going to vote down ticket, and then the American people will give Donald Trump the presidency, but they'll give him a lame duck presidency, take away the Senate and the House from them. That's more than likely what's going to happen. He'll have a lame duck presidency, or Joe Biden will get in, then they'll remove him with the 25th. Kamala will come in, and then they're going to move Hakeem Jeffries, which is Obama 2.0, because they've been grooming him. I don't know why his name isn't brought up. They are giving him the exact same pathway that they did with Obama. Hakeem Jeffries is the sleeper. Newsom will be his VP in 2028, or Whitmer. Jeffries would take over the presidency. And then that's ultimately the goal. Put a black man on the ticket, because that was so successful under Obama.
Yeah, we're just fucked. We're fucked.
Yeah, we are fucked. God. That's why Trump's going to win.
If Biden wins, you're very vocal on you factually. We had a long conversation after a show one day about how you factually have evidence that the 2020 election was not stolen.
That's right.
If Biden this time wins, are you gonna have like your ears pricked and gone, man? Eyebrows are raised on this one.
Because there's a difference between stolen and unconstitutional. My argument isn't that it wasn't under nefarious means. It's the fact that people make it sound like it was hacked servers, or it was fucking Nazis from Buenos Aires with George Soros, or it was, space satellites or floods and pipes. All that there is a very distinct paper trail using judges to circumvent state constitutions because of emergency powers due to COVID that changed the way. I have a timeline of this that is just fucking fantastic, where you can see the legislation that was pushed through where they just circumvented the swing states laws and put mass ballots on unregistered voters and circumvented it by just flooding blue counties with 30 to 40 million votes in these states. Because you see that these counties in these blue areas voted 90-10 for Joe Biden. That has never happened before in the history of anything, from dog catcher all the way to president. Even Dukakis versus Reagan, you didn't see, Mondale versus Reagan, you didn't see 90-10 splits in any counties anywhere. Even in the deepest, bluest places like Manhattan, you even saw those numbers were still like a 70-30 split for Trump and Biden. But you see parts in Philadelphia that were 90-10 splits. The only way you can tell that this wasn't stolen, that this was actually ballots, was there were 181 million people voted in last election. But this election will go back down to reality. I'm predicting about 124 to 131 million. If that happens, we're going to have to ask the question, where did 50 million fucking votes go? And then I get vindicated and people are going to be like, geez, Matt, you were right all this time. And I'm like, I know I was, because I did the math. I saw Nancy Pelosi ask for more money for the USPS. I saw these counties ask for 10-day, 14-day counts. I saw the mail-in ballots that were coming in. I've looked at the numbers over the last 75 years of elections that there's never even anyone being close to 180 million voters ever in U.S. history. The highest ever before this was like 119. So I understand what people are saying, but dude, you can look at this and see that it was an unconstitutional. Judges made decisions, and it altered this election, period.
It blows me away. No, we don't. I don't mind that. It blows me away. It's everywhere you go. Like, you have 328 million people in the United States and almost less than half vote. It kills me.
Right.
We have the same thing in Chicago. Every time people bitch about something in Chicago, it's like, you realize it's a city of 2.7 million people and 600,000 came out to vote. That's it.
Right.
So I don't think you're going to see big numbers at all this time term out, because I think that you
can't.
Well, I think that you're going to have people who are just like, I'm sick of Trump and I'm just abstaining my vote. I think there's going to be more people, this is my view, who are not voting because of their choices than voting because they hate the other guy. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, but there's no fucking way 72% of America voted in 2020. And it wasn't 180, 160, 157, 160 million people. Plus you have votes that were taken out. My point is 72% of the population, that's bullshit. There's no effing way in U.S. history that we ever have seen anything remotely close to that. Usually it's like 56, 57% of the population vote, because you have to consider you have old people, you have people who are young, who are under 18, who can't vote. You have felons. You have so many different things that it's impossible for 330 million people to vote. So to see that number, you have unregistered voters, which is what they did, which is called, it's against Constitution. You can't go out and solicit ballots. You have to have registered voters to go ahead and provide a ballot to. So when they solicited votes and just sent out based on people, and they said, hey, they can't get to the DMV, it's a 6-month wait, they can't register to vote, let's go ahead and go off of our current voter registry and just send out ballots to these people even though they're unregistered. That shit makes the election unconstitutional, and that's what happened. And that's why so many people voted.
How many think people are gonna or not vote because they're like me? I said it, I was not gonna vote in the last election, not the 2020, but I think the midterms. I was not going to vote. And then there was a couple different people like, no, we have to vote so hard this time so that it's undeniable when they cheat and steal all this. It's like, no, we came out in mass records. I'm like, okay, that's great. But how many people are like me this time? It's like, fuck, no. What's the point? What's the point? I live in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. You know, Illinois is not going to vote for Trump. My vote's not going to fucking matter. What do I care? So I'm not going to do it. Plus, not to mention the fact that I know that they did something very shady in the 2020 election. I'm just not going to bother. Well, what's the point? How many people do you think are like me?
A lot, because first of all, you got Jill Stein running, and people don't understand the reason why Donald Trump lost against Hillary Clinton. A lot of people think it was the October surprise with Comey coming out saying we're reopening the investigation. That had a lot to do with it. But what it was Jill Stein took 7% of the vote. I mean, that is a shit ton of votes. 7%. That's the entire moderate undecideds in the last 7-8 elections is 7%.
What party was she with?
So Jill Stein's
libertarian.
She's Green Party. Yeah. So she's Green Party, but you got RFK now too. So you have RFK and Jill Stein with the potential to take 14 or 15% of the vote. That kills Biden. Like, that fucking hurts Biden beyond reproach. You can't even understand. The thing that people really need to focus on is that if you look at it prior to 2020, 60% of the population who voted went to voting on the same day. Traditionally, that's what happened out of the vote, 60%. But in 2020, brother, 70% of voters voted by non-traditional means, which means not showing up the day. Mail-in ballots were just, this is how you know it wasn't stolen. They just used the fucking courts and COVID to change the way we do an election. And this is why nobody's talking about it. This is right in front of everybody's faces. But instead, they're listening to these shitheads like me who do a show and say it was stolen. It was the mail-in ballot. It was the Dominion servers. And there's nothing that proves that. This is why the Trump administration at the very end went to convention of states and had the states proposition the courts and say, we feel that this was an unconstitutional election. But by that time, it was too late. They heard 70 some odd cases where Trump was shut down. And the Supreme Court said, fuck this. We're not doing this anymore. We're district judges. We've heard this shit. So anyway, this whole thing, I should write a book on it and just retire.
Yeah, why not? I know that the process, I can't, in Illinois, I think you have to have 3% of the votes for your party to be established so that you can run in the, not you per se, but your party can run in the election the next term. So like, just for political purposes, when I ran for sheriff, I've talked about this many times, as a Republican or a Democrat, you needed 3,282 signatures, lawful legal signatures, to get on the ballot for the primary of your political party. And then of course, like, you needed 3, 4, 5 times the amount of that, because what Illinois does is they love to challenge your signatures and go, nope, that's not a T that's crossed. Throw that one out. And they do it all the fucking time. But when I said, fuck this, I'm going to run as an independent, it went to 25,000 signatures. Uh-huh. And the reason I asked the State Board of Elections, I'm like, what is this? And they said, well, the party, it's like for the next year. So if I ran as a libertarian, which they're insane in Illinois. I don't know how they are the rest of the country.
No, they're insane everywhere.
Dude, they're just fucking, you can't take them seriously. They
don't.
needed, when they get 3, if they put somebody on there and they ran, and that person got 3% of the vote in 2018, that meant the next election, 2020, what would that be, 2022? That meant that they did not have to get the 25,000 signatures. They only needed 3,200. So that's how shitty things are out here. What's the graph you just pulled up?
So this is just an interesting one that will just make you shit your pants. So if you take a look here, in person, you have the pink color in person on election day. In person during early voting is like a navy, and then that brighter blue, I guess it's like an aquamarine, I don't know what color that is, it's like a sea blue, is by mail. Teal. So if you look at the Northeast, predominantly in-person election day, but look at the by mail. Remember what I said, in person during early voting period. Then you look down the Midwest, pink. Look at the West. Look at the fucking by mail.
You're talking about California and all that shit out there?
I'm talking about California, Las Vegas, Arizona, New Mexico. Then when the South starts is really East Texas and over. So this is like a lot of the swing states in the lower half. And then you take a look at the Northeast, which is predominantly going to be, Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota. It's not true, it's little Midwest, but a lot of the Northeast. Look at the fucking increase in by mail voting, man. It's ridiculous how much This is the issue. So anyone who sits there and goes, it was stolen. No, they just did it right in front of our fucking eyes and nobody's paying attention. I've been trying to wake people up to this. And this is why my channel's been doing well, because people are finally like, fuck, man, Matt hasn't been wrong about this shit, because now people are saying, oh yeah, this was an unconstitutional election. And I'm sitting here going, okay, where's my contract? Where's my book deal?
The mail-in votes I never understood, because like my mother used to do mail-in voting, and she just didn't like being out in public. So she's dead. I have to want. She's only been dead a year and a half. I wonder if they're going to send a ballot to the House this year. And if that's the case,
the difference between a mail-in ballot and the absentee ballot, right? Like veteran, I voted absentee ballot most of my military career. Most veterans do. Like Colorado does mail-in ballots, and it's fairly secure, surprisingly enough. There's not a lot of fraud in Colorado. The most thing is like the registry is where every state is fucked up. But the problem is that it doesn't matter that there's still fraud. I'm not saying there's no fraud. Of course there's fraud. There's always fraud. It's just not enough to overturn a fucking election. My argument is I don't care that mail-in ballots are somewhat secure in some states. Where I have an issue is you sent out unregistered fucking ballots to people who did not register to vote. That is one of our most basic state laws. So the issue that I have is they use COVID powers to allow judges to circumvent state constitutional law. And the only people that can do that, Dom, are legislators. They write the laws. The judges interpret laws. They don't set precedent when it comes to law and write law. They interpret to see if they are constitutional. So for them to use emergency powers to change election law, especially on a federal and national level, is as unconstitutional as it gets. That's my gripe.
All the stuff you're saying, it's like, what's the fucking point for voting? It blows me away.
Well, because you have your state and local elections where the real change is made. No, it doesn't matter who the fuck president is. You're going to get fucked either way, or you're not. But I care about city, state, representative, Senate. I care about judges. I care about city council, county clerk. So I vote because I want to impact my life. But the national election, it's true. If you're not in the swing state, it's not that big of a deal to vote for president, because we don't vote by popular vote. But if you're in a swing state, get your fucking ass out there and vote. If you don't, you're a douche.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr., though, he's going to be a real big threat, don't you think? I keep seeing shit all over. After the debate, the only real clear choice we see now is RFK Jr. I can't. And remember, I know you take the educator route. I take the visceral, emotional impulse route. I refuse to support another fucking legacy, family, royalty shit member in any type of position of power. People are so dumb. Oh, his family stands against him, and he's not establishment. I'm like, oh, are you fuckers dumb? I don't trust that snake for one bit. He comes from one of the most corrupt fucking families in government history. Just no, I don't. But do you think that Bobby Kennedy Jr. could make a great president because of his stance on vaccines?
No.
You're clearly
just like I don't think Tulsi Gabbard is just because I don't think Tulsi Gabbard's a Republican either, but everyone's thinking with their small. Everyone's thinking with their dicks. She's hot, dude. And I'm like, come on, guys, you're thinking with the wrong fucking head here. She is as progressive as they come.
And who's to say that she's not a fucking Trojan horse infiltrating the Republican Party?
She's so fucking progressive. Everyone's like, she's a Republican now. I'm like, are you fucking people stupid? Nope. She doesn't want. She's against capital punishment. She's against guns. She thinks that there are some AR-15s or weapons of war. She wants to expand the minimum wage. She wants cashless bail, border, defund fucking the Defense Department. The woman is and she believes in late-term abortion. She is the most progressive fucking person in office since Kamala Harris. She's that bad. And everyone's like, oh, she's nice to Republicans now. I'm like, dude, you think she's hot. And that's fine because she's pretty smoking, but that doesn't mean I'm going to vote for her. I'm very unashamed to admit this. And I know how the average American voter thinks. When Romney ran the first time, not against Obama, but I think he ran against, in the primary, he ran against George Bush. This was the first time in... Romney?
Yeah. This is 90. This was 98. Was that the election, 98? Because I was working in a bar. No, where the fuck
George
was
Bush
I?
Senior or Junior? Just
Junior.
help me understand. George Bush Junior, right?
Yeah, he primaried against George Bush Jr., I believe. I remember seeing him on TV. Romney, yeah.
I thought Romney was Jeb, and because that was the Obama years. That was too far. It was 98.
The second time he ran though was against Obama, right? That was that.
Let me find out. Let me look it up. You talk, I'll look it up.
I wasn't a cop yet, and I remember being in the bar, and I'm like, okay. And I will flat out tell everybody the reason that I said, because I was so non-political, I wanted no part of it. And I obviously always acknowledged that I'm not going to cast a vote because it's not fair. Because let's just say, for argument's sake, that there's 100 million votes out for one candidate and 100 million votes out for the other, and because I cast my one ballot for one, he wins it. That's it based on what? I don't know anything. I based my support for Romney off of how he looked. I went, this guy looks the most presidential, clean cut, Ronald Reagan-esque, perfect fucking hair, tall, svelte. So that's how Americans are, dude. It doesn't matter on which side. Tulsi Gabbard would get probably massive Republican support because she looks the part. And she left. Well, she's
hot. She's a veteran.
And she's a hot veteran, and she abandoned. She said no to the Democrat establishment. People are stupid. Yeah, Sarah says it was 2000. Yep, 2000. Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, so here's the thing you need to look at. Take a look at the top 3 states who had the highest voter turnout. You're looking at Minnesota, look at the swing states. So Minnesota,
Alabama.
Michigan.
Is that Alabama?
Wisconsin. Oh. Wait, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, 3 swing states. Pennsylvania, go down to the lower left. Arizona, Georgia, all
Maine,
the top. Yeah, and we don't give a fuck about any of those because those are still, Democrat strongholds. But all the swing states had the highest voter turnout ever before. A lot of that can be constituted as, hey, I'm a swing state, I'm important. But when you take a look at the amount of voters who voted for what, it's disproportionate. It's horribly disproportionate for Democrats. But anyway, yeah, I understand what you're saying. People vote with their eyes. And my point is, of course, if Tulsi Gabbard was on the VP ticket, she's not going to be. But if she was, people would be okay with that because of the way she looks. But here's the funny thing. You take a look at her voting record. It's like 37% in the negative for like Patriot, like freedoms. And when you rate her scores, but you look at Nikki Haley, and Nikki Haley's rocking like a 96% as far as conservative voting, but they call her a rhino. And I'm just like, listen, people, I don't understand the way people think anymore. I just don't. And I'm just whatever. It's not about values. It's about who you vote for.
This is how people think. Trump cares about you. He cares about you. You understand? He's fighting for you. That meme goes around. They're not after me. They're after you. I'm just in their way. It's like, holy shit. People still believe that these politicians give a rat fuck about you. That's how they vote, and they're so stupid. I can't stand it.
Listen, if I was to say, I've seen firsthand Trump, the way he acts when the cameras are off. I mean, personally, like physically seen him interact with veterans. I know people who are on a security detail. I know people who flew Air Force One with him. I know 2 Air Force pilots and 1 head of security, good friends of mine on Air Force One. The things you hear from Secret Service, the things you hear from military personnel who worked with Trump was that he is nothing like any other politician they've ever seen. Is that this guy is down to earth. He's kind. He's never a dick to them. I just have testimonies and anecdotal evidence that speak otherwise. Do I think Trump cares about me on an individual sense? No, but I do believe that he is antithetical to the socialist propaganda, progressive movement, and he truly wants to stand in the way and provide cover for the Constitution of the United States. I believe that. And then in that case, just by osmosis, he cares about me. So that's why I make that argument. And I'm not this guy who just sucks Donald Trump off. You've heard me. I challenge his thought process. But if I do believe that he cares about the people. I really do.
VP, have you given any thought about who his VP is? Because that's the next thing. And then we got to go with the last part. We got to go 2028. So VP, what do you see as his VP choice?
Vance Jones comes out as a solid for me. Now, here's the thing. Mike Pence, he chose Mike Pence for the Christian element. The Republican, the Republican convention, RNC, the GOP, the masters of the universe went to him and said, Your grabbing by the pussy thing was too much. You need a Christian. You need Mike Pence. And Trump was like, I don't want Mike Pence. And they're like, too fucking bad. You want our money? We're giving you Pence. Tim Scott provides African-American support and gives him that religious element. I think Christians are coming out to vote no matter what, with or without Tim Scott. I think the Second Amendment voters are coming out as well. So this allows him to go to somebody like JD Vance. JD Vance is smart. He's youthful. He's got the beard. He's just got that energetic young attitude. He's very, very intelligent. I see JD Vance being someone he really likes. Now, people are saying Burgum as well from North Dakota or wherever the fuck he's from. I like him from a standpoint of coming in as an economic advisor. He could be Secretary of Treasury. He could be his economic, advisor, whatever it would be. I don't see him making it. As far as people talking about Byron Donalds and talking about Carrie Lake and whatever, no. I think it comes down to two people right now: Tim Scott, Vance. But who he should put in place if he wants to shore up this election and close it right now,
your girl,
it's Nikki Haley.
Yeah, your girl.
Yep, Nikki Haley.
Double down on that. Why?
That's not my. She's not my girl. I don't want to see Nikki Haley. I'm just saying that she's bringing in 19 to 23% of the vote, and Trump supporters will fucking get over it. If Trump just goes up there and says, "Listen, she delivers on the abortion thing," why not?
Yeah, they'll get that. There's a massive amount of hypocrisy. If he says it, they'll do it just to get her in office. Just get him in office. That's right. Excuse me. But then again,
that gets him the election tomorrow. He's done. Yeah, he gets Nikki Haley. It's over.
Until then, she gets all of her ideologies and views in there, and then in 2028, she runs.
Yeah, I think you got Glenn Youngkin from Virginia. That's like I did this 4 years ago, predicting Haley and DeSantis. So I'll go ahead and do this. And we're getting into that conversation. You said Youngkin is a clear choice for 2028. It makes complete sense. DeSantis, I don't see DeSantis running again, but he very well could. But Youngkin is a clear choice. And as far as Haley running on the ticket, I don't know. It just, the point is it delivers. It puts New Hampshire in play. It guarantees him Virginia. It shores up the abortion dialogue. She just comes with a lot of pluses. And I understand people think she's a neocon, but she is a woman, and that brings also the college-educated woman in, which he's not doing too well in. So she is a possible for 2028, but Youngkin is an extremely strong candidate. And I see a Youngkin Newsom or a Hakeem Jeffries and Youngkin, and that will be a fucking barn burner of a political race.
Yeah, I don't want a woman president. I just don't.
I don't think she becomes president. I think she delivers it now. And because people are worried about Trump, they're like, oh, you put Nikki Haley in there. She's strong. She stood up to him. Think about how many people have actually stood up to Donald Trump. Can you actually name it outside of Chris Christie, who's unelectable?
He's where'd he go? And I think that she plays the woman card for that. Think of all of a sudden, I think that's the one thing that I can't stand is when women leverage their femininity or their gender to attack somebody, and you. I don't care if it's based on the issues. The way that they do it comes across as if, dumb male, I'm a woman, hear me roar, all this shit. And then when a guy fires back, it's, oh, yeah, you're a sexist. It's like, no, the fucking bitch wanted to come up and she wanted to pick a fight. I'm giving her a fight. If that were ever removed, then I'm okay with that. I'm okay with women being a bad.
Did she do that? Or listen, Vivek Ramaswamy is his class. Like you understand. Indians and Pakistanis, they have a class system. Like it's one of the biggest class systems ever. And you have the sheiks and right. And you've got a very look down upon your trash, your garbage, you're a sewer rat type thing. Yep. Well, Ramaswamy comes from a very elite class and he looks down on Haley. And plus she's a woman. And you saw that. Everyone was like, oh, she's going after because she was top candidate. No, she wasn't. DeSantis was doing much better than Haley. She only had 1% to 2%. But Ramaswamy was spitting on her. It was most assuredly personal. And she just was like, fuck it. I've had enough.
Well, how many other cultures of the world would a woman president have to deal with to get shit done who have that same type of viewpoint? How many?
Margaret Thatcher did a fairly decent job. I'm with you.
How many other Middle Eastern countries would have to be that? Oh, we got a woman president. Hey, so Margaret Thatcher, not a very attractive woman, right?
No, not at all.
Right. So you almost need an ugly bitch in office who's, you'd be a little bit like, ooh, that's not distracting. And
she did fairly well in the United Nations, dude. Listen, here's the thing. I find myself, it sucks. I find myself being a Haley apologist because nobody else will. And I don't think so. No, I really do.
I don't think you are. I think what you do is you bring up, and again, if the rest of the world is all about emotions, you just bring along facts on it. It's very, I don't think
I tried to.
at all. I don't think at all.
She did very well in the United Nations. She was very well respected in the United Nations. Trump even said she did a bang up job. And the only reason he called her bird brain and shit, which is so stupid because she's not dumb, is because he's running against. You heard him say at the fair, he's like, she's going to be in my cabinet. If he says that, she's going to be Secretary of State. He needs to get those votes. I don't care what he does. He just needs to announce something at the RNC that Haley is a part of this, and she needs to come out and hold his hand up, because that's going to give him an additional 10% of the votes in the United States. And that pretty much shores it up, and it's over.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is that I vote emotional with trying to get as much information as I can so I can make an informed decision. Clearly, I'm going to vote for Trump but the other part of me is this, though. Can we just rip the Band-Aid off already? Let's look at the other side of that coin. What if we did have a second Biden presidency and let the world go to shit? Let it just let it happen.
There's a difference. Listen, it's not going to be a war. It's economically, the United States will become obsolete. And
I don't see. I would have gone with you on there's not going to be a war until you look at what's online. It's not a declared war. Hey, it's the fucking Jets versus Sharks. It's chaos, right? You look at what happens in Chicago and the flood of migrants we have coming in. They do not follow the fucking law at all. They just don't. They look alike. I'm sorry, it's not a racial issue. They're brown people with brown hair, brown eyes, 5'8" to whatever. There's a very, very, very physical common denominator. They can go in, commit crimes. You'd be very hard to identify, go all over the place. You've got the black community, which is far more disenfranchised than ever because they feel that they're being neglected to all the illegal criminal invaders that are coming in. And you get something like you saw yesterday in Chicago, this mass brawl breaking out at the end of Pride Month. It just starts to does the whole growing and like the Blob did, right? Gets another person in there. So you're going to get this
What a great movie.
You're going to get this shit happening more and more. That's the war. The war is fucking chaos in the streets. I think that's going to happen.
From an existential standpoint, okay, fine. So existentially, yes. When I say war, those are domestic policy issues. And I agree 100%. That is a natural derivative of economic collapse. I'm talking about a country invading the United States. That shit ain't going to fucking happen. So everyone needs to put that to bed.
It's been happening at the border. That's a literal invasion.
Okay, that's a very complete different situation that I'm talking about. I'm talking about a national superpower first strike on the United States and invading into the United States. That shit ain't going to happen.
Like China coming across the northern border up in training camps in May. I get that, but then again, too, I have to wonder how much is what would be the word? Inadvertently, no, that would be unintentionally.
Are you talking about insurgencies, like guerrilla operations?
No, I'm talking about like I don't know how it would be done because I don't know the mathematics or funding behind it. But at what point was Biden elected? Because China owns him, and the border was left open so that China could have distractions for U.S. for whatever purposes by flooding the border with 10 million illegal criminal invaders. What if it's China? That's China's invasion of America, but not using their own troops, just using hired guns.
Yeah. So here's the thing: is China is not a conqueror. China has never invaded anybody. China cares about economic power. That's their focus. They want energy independence and they want to be a global economic leader. That's their end goal. It's not to invade or own the United States. That's why they invest so much money. It would be counterintuitive for China to cripple and destroy the United States because China already has a money and a funding problem. They've invested into real estate. They have invested in the business inside the United States because it's a capital investment that's secure. For them to go in here and cut their nose to spite their face isn't very much a smart strategy.
Is it tactical though? You've seen that. Trump was even faced with it. How many farms and farmland that China is buying up like crazy? Which I do not understand why that is even legally allowed whatsoever. I
agree with you.
What's the fact of what is the possibility that they just kick out one leg of the table so that they can come in and swoop up and say, "Hey, look, we saved you." I see it as a tactic where they're like, let's use some fucking foreigners to just cause chaos in the United States, and we'll weasel our way in there, and then we'll be that dominant global superpower.
I think it's a lot more complicated when it comes to infrastructure, resupply, logistics, and to have a standing army. China is not the country that puts insurgents in here and then trains them to create chaos. That's Iran. That's not even Russia. China and Russia don't do that because they have standing armies that can create that pressure. And they would put it on our partners. They would obviously put it in Mexico and Canada. They would invade Mexico and Canada, not the United States, because that ultimately kills the United States as far as trade, overall, USMCA, et cetera, and the amount of money coming into the United States. Mexico is our number one trade partner right now from a volume standpoint and dollar standpoint. So I understand where we're coming from. My point is, I would be much more worried about Jordan. I'd be worried about Saudi Arabia. I'd be worried about Iran, Beirut, Egypt. These are the people who would come in and run, the movie The Siege type things to interrupt stability and create fear and hit buses and malls and do what they did in Russia by going in with semi-automatics and fucking killing hundreds of people in a theater. This is the type of shit that those countries would do, not China. China's buying up fucking property in the United States because it is a sound investment. Yeah, it is the best investment in the world right now.
I'm just talking about the chaos factor, like the whole George Soros funded all the Black Lives Matter and Antifa riots. Which amazing how you don't hear anything about Antifa anymore. I don't think that George Soros was putting together an army and had some he was down in his bunker and they had some famous scene from fucking Hitler yelling at a map somewhere. I think that it was just Soros going, I'm gonna buy bunch of pallets of bricks and some bus tickets and let people go ape shit and burn down towns in the United States because that benefits me financially. How? I don't know. I have no idea.
No, you're absolutely right. That is what I'm worried about. So you're talking about homegrown activism. You're talking about chaos, people who are all about anarchy and destroying democracy, destroying capitalism, destroying our republic. That is a completely different situation than China and everybody else. But I agree with you.
That's what I'm wondering, if the tactics are similar. Meaning George Soros doesn't even live in the United States, does he?
Well, it depends. He owns property and residence inside the United States, but he lives abroad. He lives everywhere.
That's my only question is it the same tactic as just China just going, fuck?
No, because Maoism is different, right? Maoism is completely, is a fundamental principle of oppressing the people to ultimately do what you want and have the government run institutions because life is shitty. What they want to do is destroy our current system by using the Saul Alinsky playbook to create derision and to have the people turn against the government to demand a replacement government. It's almost working antithetical to what China wants to do.
That's what I'm going, though. But if you have a government that allows criminals, millions and millions and millions to cross the border, all of a sudden, wait a second, you're not doing this fucking job. Let's say Trump gets elected. Where's you promised to deport everybody. You're not doing it. The border's still open. Fuck you. We want to overthrow our government and put one in place that works. That what you just described is where I'm going with this. It's like they're allowing or helping the chaos so that the end result they want will happen here.
Do you believe in the replacement theory? The white that they're doing this in order to replace white people in power? Do you believe that?
Dude, I said 20 years ago. I think that kind of shit backfires because if everybody was like everybody deserves equality and all this shit, then by fucking 2050 or 2100, you're going to have everybody's going to be 5'10" with brown hair, brown eyes, and brown skin. End of story. It's like taking the Museum of Art, the Art Institute of Chicago, and every single painting is now replaced with black and white crayons only. It's like there's no diversity in anything. So I don't think that goes anywhere. With this whole replacement fucking theory, no. I think it's just to create more hate and division.
I agree.
Because we're having families.
So we're on the same page. Then there's multiple threats. But if you look into Saul Alinsky, if you look into the white oligarchs of Russia who came in, they originally took over Hollywood. They took over the news media. This is where Montgomery Clift, John Wayne, Ronald Reagan in the Screenwriters Guild basically just stood up against communism and fought the Screenwriters Guild fought Hollywood to kick them out. And when these liberal arts fucking performers left, they went into our college institutions and our learning institutions. This is why academia is predominantly progressive. This is all the Saul Alinsky fucking playbook. The Democrats don't, they don't want power in our current system. They want to reprioritize government so it expands government into a larger influence on the populace where the individual rights are no longer important, that they do collectivism, that it's progressive into the entire population gets the same rights. The only problem with
that has to be a willing,
right?
Yes. Well,
that's the shit we should worry about.
We saw that that's Australia creates such a bad gun problem. Let's all give up your guns, and then you still have fucking mass shooters. No, I think that if it hasn't happened yet, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think I don't know. I don't think so. Meaning that if we keep seeing these school shootings and nothing happens, and then this is the justification for it. Every time there's a fucking school shooting, they want to go after your guns. Great. If that was it, I could see society moving that way, saying, okay, great. You know what? Maybe we should give our guns up, blah, blah, blah. The fact that they never address, and this is the hypocrisy, never address. You want, if people want to come out and say Trump is so bad, he's a criminal, he did this, he did that, I will listen to you if you're on that side and say, also, yeah, we need to talk about Joe Biden's history, all this stuff. Now I'm like, great. Same thing with this like gun issue and going to the utopia way you want. If you want to talk about giving up guns, then you have to talk about the black community being 100% impulse control, out of control when it comes to guns, shooting themselves at a genocidal rate every weekend. Now, when you bring that together, if the liberals, Democrats ever wanted to solve that, they need to bring those two things to the table, and they won't because they'll lose the black.
Well,
support.
They won't because they can't, because it's two different issues. One is a criminal element with the illegal gun purchases, because it's not the legal gun owner in Chicago who's killing people. It's the illegal gun owner, which is there's already enough laws on the books. If we just enforce the ones we currently had, but that's not what happens.
You don't think the progressive see they're never going to get what they want if they think like you. They have to be stupid. I'm telling you, they have to be stupid. You have to. You want. It's two different issues. No, the biggest issue is they want to get rid of guns. If that's the case, then you have to be stupid and realize that they're talking to stupid people and say they're not two separate issues. They're, oh my God, your children are being killed in the street, black, white, or indifferent. But because they wind up going in those two separate routes, that's why they're never going to get that shit done.
You know, they never stopped the making of cigarettes to stop people from smoking. The only thing they did was go ahead and make. Oh my God, dude, that's so fucking
weird. I thought about starting up smoking last night. I'm like, I'm 49. I've never done. Dude, people lose weight on cigarettes, don't they? Might be a great.
Okay, just focus, fucking squirrel. So they didn't stop the making of cigarettes. What they did is that they taxed them so heavily that people no longer wanted to buy them, and they couldn't justify spending $14 on a pack of cigarettes when they were just $4 or $5 10 years prior. They're never going to stop guns. What they'll do is just make the ammo impossible. They tried this in the Obama administration. ATF bought a shit ton of black powder when people started making their own rounds. They made ammo so scarce and bought up, and people started storing it that unfortunately it didn't drive down gun sales, because people are like, fuck it, we'll buy the gun and we'll find a way to get the ammo. But that's the problem when you think of this. But I'm going to go back real quick. When you talked about Saul Alinsky and changing, that the United States won't change, or possibly if we haven't done it yet, they won't. I'm going to tell you that that's not true. And I'll tell you why, because Venezuela is a perfect example. 20 years ago, it was one of the most prominent, richest economically. It was going to be a superpower. Venezuela was one of the richest countries on the fucking planet. And socialism took over, and they rooted it in the younger generations. There is a sad truth here that Gen X will dwindle down to about 13% of the population in the next generation cycle. And boomers, boomers will be about 13%. Gen Xers will drop to about 22, 23. Millennials will be the largest generation ever on the planet. And those kids, they're disenfranchised with the American way. They're disenfranchised with the republic. They're looking for, they want universal health care.
Why the fuck would I not? Wait, so why would I not start smoking to increase my chances of fucking having? Why would I want to be around for that? Fuck, dude.
I don't know, brother. I quit smoking, and I maintain my weight. You know what you should do? You should look at Wellbutrin. It's a smoking cessation, so you don't start smoking.
No, I just have to get my fat ass doing cardio. I just don't.
You're not fat. You've lost almost 20 pounds. I can tell you look good.
I put 9 pounds.
No, you didn't.
100%. I'm
no,
back. I back up to 229. I was on a 217.
Well, buddy. You looked good. You were looking great. I don't know.
No, that's okay. Fucking is what it is. Shit.
Start smoking then. Fuck it. Who cares?
I'm telling you. What's the worst that could happen?
You smoke cigars, don't you?
Yeah, but I don't inhale.
Okay, Bill Clinton.
No, you don't. You're not supposed to inhale cigars. There's no filter on it at all.
I was just, once again, like we started this conversation, sometimes jokes don't need to necessarily be accurate to be funny.
Monica Lewinsky, would you?
Fucking chubby or non-chubby? I don't think.
The current,
yes.
how she is, she aged very well.
I don't care. I would have hit her when she was, I don't mind. I'm a chubby chaser. I don't give a fuck.
What the hell are you doing with your wife then?
Well, because I don't care, because that's not the way I look at it. I think there's some full-figured women who are fucking smoking hot.
Who? I don't give me. I've been with some extremely large women. So I'm not fat shaming. There are some big girls out there. They're like, dude, you are. They know how to carry themselves, dress well. It's like, damn. So I've had.
I'll just give you one. I'll give you one. Like Rachel Weisz is not a thin woman. She's full figure. She's like a size 8. Rachel Weisz is fucking smoking.
What is she
and
from?
She's a size 8.
I know that name.
The Mummy.
Oh yeah, she's still. She's not obese.
She ain't itty. I'm not saying fat. I'm not saying obese. What I'm saying is full figured. Size 8 to size 12. There are plenty of beautiful size 8 to size 12.
You about a size 14. That. She's a great big fat person. All right, kids, have a great damn day. Make sure you go follow The Dumb Show. They're live 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern, Monday through Friday. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for more of the Rants of Izzo here on Spreely TV. Go help somebody if you can't help them. Don't be a fucking cunt.
Every time we kiss and make up, that's a very peaceful sign.